Hola amigos, bien ok. Entonces, hoy día 30, day 30 of the process. Como yo dije el día pasado, yo estoy más o menos revisando mis procesos en estos 30 días, como yo puedo avanzar mejor. Y algún parte con estos es como yo describí como diálogos, so dialogues, esencial. Y hoy quiero compartir un poco cómo yo construir alguno con estos diálogos y cuál es el pensamiento atrás de esto. Listo. So today is day 30. As you know, over these last 30 days and certainly the last week or so, I've been looking again at how I'm going to progress best in this project. And one of the things I'm doing now is I'm going back and I'm looking at my planned dialogues. These are the more essential conversations I can predict I'm likely to have, or that situations I want to have conversations about. So I'm trying to work on what's the minimum dialogue I need for these conversations. And as you know, the difference really I'm looking at here is words I'm going to hear and words I need to say. That's the key difference, because I need to say less than perhaps what I'm going to be hearing, but I need to understand the vocabulary in general so that I'm aware of the topic. Entonces, eso es para demostrar la diferencia en total, como las palabras y el vocabulario que yo necesito entender, porque es cosas que yo voy a escuchar o otra gente puede preguntarme, y también los oraciones esenciales que yo necesito decir para responder, o los que yo necesito para ayudarme para navegar con esta conversación. Listo. So this is how I do it. Yeah? So with these ones here, you can see, I know I've got general questions which are about what I'm doing, why I'm here, this kind of thing. Yeah. So here we go. So I have things like, ¿tú qué haces? ¿Cuál es tu oficio? ¿Cuál es tu profesión? Pero este es el más común. ¿A qué te dedicas? ¿A qué te dedicas? So esta es una oración clave. Todas las otras tienen el mismo sentido, pero esta es la más común que yo pueda escuchar. And really all we're looking at is, what do you do? Okay? So todas estas diferentes formas, más o menos, solo con esta pregunta, y por eso yo solo necesito, dice esta, responder. So I know that there's at least 4 or 5, maybe a few more, different ways that people will generally ask me what is really the same question. So it might be phrased slightly differently. The most common way I think we're going to hear it is this one, ¿a qué te dedicas? But really all they're asking me is, what do you do? What do you do? Okay. That's my answer. I teach classes of English online. Yo me dedico a enseñar clases de inglés online. So what I mean with this is, any of these questions, any of these 4 ways, I can answer with the same answer. So that's why it's minimal. So I'm looking at all the different ways they could ask the question. I look for perhaps the most common one, because that's the one I'm more likely to hear. If I hear any of these, I know I can answer with this sentence. So I only need to remember this one. As long as I'm familiar with some of the words from this, so I know if I hear dedicas, profesión, oficio, haces, they're asking me something about that, I can answer with this. Yep. Look at another one. Another common question. ¿Te gusta Medellín? ¿Te gusta Colombia? disfrutas aquí, or estás amañado. Now I picked this one, estás amañado, because this was a question I was getting asked an awful lot. What's amañado? Yeah, but locally that's what they mean. They're asking me, do you like it here? So again, I remember this is general vocabulary. Particularly any more perhaps unusual local expressions for that, because that's something I'm definitely going to hear a lot more of. Then what do they generally mean? Do you like it here? Okay, what's my response? Okay, so I hear any of these, I can go with sí, estoy muy feliz aquí. Yeah, I'm very happy here. Because that answer answers any of these questions really well. So I hope you can see with this that what we're looking at really is kind of like a reverse pyramid, like a funnel if you want. So we take all the different vocabulary that we're likely to hear on a particular topic. We try and look for the more likely question we're going to get asked. In all cases, we're trying to reduce this down to one or two useful answers. Once we hear this group of words, we know, okay, we're talking about this now. That's the question. I can answer it with this, or I can answer it with that. So we've only got to remember a few key phrases that we can practice a lot, get really good at, and it makes it a bit easier for our revision. And of course, relative to this type of dialogue, we also need to prepare ourselves for at least one question we might need to ask. Sometimes it might be a technical question. So you remember when we did the airports, it was, okay, so how do I do that? Or what do I need to do now? Because we're talking about a process that we're not sure what the next step is. But in this case, we're looking at perhaps we're not sure what the question was, or perhaps we didn't hear it. We can go with this one. Perdón, ¿cuál es la pregunta? Nice general one to practice. So if you really don't understand, we can just ask our new friend, really just repeat the question and let's get a different phrasing on it. Yeah? Okay, so I hope that gives you quickly an idea of the general process I'm following. Obviously, there are many more steps I can take in this one. I've only put the first sort of two or three up here. I'd be looking probably at about another 5 or so general questions I would predict I'm likely to hear. And again, this would give me something like 5 or 6 answers, hopefully, and maybe a couple of general questions I can get ready to ask. So not too many things for each situation. I'm trying to keep the situation very tightly described, so I only really need to remember 5 or 6 key phrases, maybe a couple of general questions because they're quite useful across different topics, and hopefully then, when I'm in the conversation, by my prepared answers, this is going to help the conversation develop a bit. I can use some other questions to ask my new friend, perhaps to give me some more information, to listen a bit more, and the more familiar I am with general vocabulary, my general understanding should be okay. And again, outside of these dialogue practices, the more reading I'm doing, it's very important, and obviously more of this I can read out loud, again, practices the voice, but the more reading I'm doing, the more listening I'm doing with podcasts, things like that, generally I'm getting a better understanding and more exposure to the language. So my general understanding of it will bit by bit improve. So that's the tip for today, okay? So have a look at some of these conversations you think you're likely to have. Be specific about the situation. The more specific, the better. Look at common questions you're going to get. Try and group them so that they're asking really like a base question, perhaps in different phrasing, but they're asking a base question that's very similar, and then you only need a few answers to what is actually quite a few questions. So I've got 8 different questions here I can answer with just 2 answers. That's it for today. So wherever you are, have a splendid evening, and one was in Medellin. Hasta pronto. See you soon. Cheerio for now.